Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. For $30 off your first week of HelloFresh, visit HelloFresh.com/BrainCandy30 and enter BrainCandy30 at checkout. Hey!
What up, people?
How are you?
I'm doing great. You know why?
Why?
Hear that, people?
I should have waited to open my
Oh,
phone
you
to
should
go.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
you didn't know I was going to do that bit.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
You know what? I didn't know either. So
We don't know pretty much anything we're going to say.
I was actually looking at my notes. I was like, dang, I shared a lot of these in the last few episodes. What do I got? How does she feel about Cat Chateau? I'm going to really have to stretch that story.
Sometimes we have more than others.
Right.
What can we say? We're just happy to be here.
The
That's
Cat
all I
Chateau
know.
story will be a good one. Anyways, how are you doing, Suze?
Too blessed to be stressed.
You're going to be perked up in a little bit. You got your DC flowing.
Diet Coke in the house. I bought some of these the other day. I have no regrets. Feeling really good about it, actually.
I like it.
I read a book recently about, like, things we fear. You know, like, as people, we worry about, like, we might think, oh, I have to only eat organic, but then we'll text and drive.
Right.
So, like, we often worry about the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought,
totally.
you know what, I'll just have a Diet Coke then.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the 104-year-old man who, chose to end his life. And I bet he'd be like, yeah, drink up, Suze.
Yeah, I mean, you should.
But,
you
like,
do
look both ways when you cross the street.
That's
is
what the
I'm
book
saying.
said. It was like, in fact, let's have her on as a guest today.
Okay.
You know
This
what
is
I mean?
so fun.
I'll put that interview at the end of this.
What book is it?
It's called Hype.
Oh, cool. I'm in it. I'm into it already.
Yeah, and it's sort of like telling you what is actually.
I'm loving this.
What do you love about it?
I think that is sometimes a lot of those lessons you have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And I would love if somebody would just like, look, this is worth it. This isn't worth it.
Yeah. From the age of birth to, I think it was 40 or 45, you're most likely to die from an accident.
Ooh.
So she's saying, be careful, wear a helmet, don't text and drive,
Yes.
go the speed limit, don't binge drink,
Yeah.
things like that. And then after that, then, maybe like have a little bit more lettuce and like worry about your fiber and like stuff like that, where you're worrying about the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to talk to her because sometimes it feels like, and as you know, like with women's stuff, especially pregnancy and otherwise, they don't know anything. Like where they'll be like, we just don't know. So,
Right. Oh boy. Oh boy. Ain't that the truth?
And that's the part I want
And
to
then
ask
my doctor
her
was
about.
like, nothing.
It's
just
fine.
whatever. You're fine. Oh, you're not doing heroin? Great. It'll be fine.
Right. I think they have bigger fish to fry at this point with the opioid situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll be a fun interview and it'll scratch your itch. I'm sure you'll enjoy. Okay, where to begin? Okay, I'll go, since this is a good transition, I read about how another way that there is gender bias. Mm-hmm. I know, it's like, I'm getting a little
I need
tired.
to sip of wine for this.
We should just start talking about where there's not gender bias.
Yeah, right.
It would be fewer things. Did you want to say something?
No, I just remembered that I ordered food and it's going to be delivered soon, so I just wanted to.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep yapping on while
if
you go.
anybody has
what
one
did
of
you
those-
order in the end? Nachos?
Yes.
See, this is fitting our theme.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They're from Veggie Grill, so it's healthy nachos.
Have you ever, it's like mainly they do salads, but then you pick the nacho?
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I did. But then you look and the salad's just as bad as the nachos because they're loaded up with all that.
That's so true.
So bring it on, but give me the nachos.
You make a good point.
Mm-hmm. It's a difference of 30 calories. I'm going nachos.
You're fine. This was about gender bias within body organ transplants.
Huh.
And-
wait. I have a question first.
Okay.
Does it matter if you get male or female? It doesn't matter, right?
No.
What about size?
Matters.
Okay.
We all know.
Another thing, duh.
So it doesn't matter if the organ is smaller than you are. Which is a problem because men are bigger usually, so they can take
women organ and put it in a man, but you can't take a male organ and put it in a woman.
You can if the sizes match. But that's a problem.
Yeah.
So it's like there's more organs that would be suitable, first of all, for a man. That's one problem.
Oh.
Because my organ could go in a man's.
Yes.
But likely his wouldn't fit into my body. So that's the first problem, which is just biology. That's not like a discriminatory thing.
Right.
But then, on top of that, is that women, for whatever reason, have a higher rate of rejection.
I would imagine it's because has something to do with blood types and being able to give birth, carrying. Because
really?
They tested my blood type a couple times and wanted to find out if
What are you?
When I still don't freaking know.
Okay.
They kept on testing me, and then they kept saying they want to make sure that it's a blood type that's compatible with the baby, because if it's not, then it almost forces a miscarriage because you're not compatible with like your own.
Yeah, it's a whole
So if you have a
thing.
certain, I think it's like RH negative or something, that you can't. It's much more difficult to.
I've never even heard of that.
Me
blood
neither.
type.
So I wonder if there's something about, like, for the same, it's almost like we get it on the other end. Like, men have higher, like, let me remember what it is. It's something like you have women are better able to, like, weed out bad genes. Like, their bodies do that better.
Okay.
Whereas a male body, and it's because we're then going to reproduce. And so they want to make it so it's most likely, but I wonder, that.
Well, regardless of the reason, what that ends up meaning is that doctors who prefer to have higher success rates are incentivized to give organs to men, because that gives them this success rate that I guess affects, their pay, probably job performance reviews, whatever. I don't know how it works with doctors, which is funny because the doctor that we're going to interview later is probably going to listen to this and be like, these idiots have no
I'm sitting here like blabbing about like trying to figure out the answer. I'm like, Sarah, pretty sure people in the medical profession have already thought about everything you're thinking about.
But they did a study and they wanted to see the true numbers of it, and doctors were half as likely to even discuss the option.
Half?
50% less likely to discuss the option of transplants with women. So they would just be like, yeah, there's nothing we can do.
Oh my gosh, that seems to really violate the first do no harm.
Well, they're not implying they're not saying that it's intentional as much as they are theorizing that maybe doctors look at the woman and think they're frailer than they are.
Like you couldn't be able to handle it anyway.
They genuinely think this isn't an option for that person.
Oh my God.
Just because they're small.
Is there anything that shows how female doctors, like if it changes, if you have a female doctor, if they still have that same mindset?
Say.
That would be interesting kind of
right.
follow up.
That would be. That. But they still would have the problem of the success rate desire, which I'm sure, affects men and women. But it really goes to show the ways that this gender bias can have an impact on your life in big ways that you don't even think about.
Never.
And so I was like, okay, if I'm ever in this position, I'm going to go in the doctor's office and act like I am badass and I am ready for a transplant, because I don't want them to think I'm frail.
No.
I want them to think that I'm a hardy.
I wonder if, I want to know everything. Like, are the people what's the breakdown of gender on the transplant list?
Higher. Women there are more women on the list. They make up 60%.
Okay. So there are more women who are in need of an organ.
Correct. And fewer that get it.
What?
partially
this is
because
crazy.
of biology. Because of the size
I know,
thing.
but like the biology of it is just like, it trips me out that.
So be an organ donor.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
But that's a big thing. But the girl that they were focusing on, she's only 4'11", and so she was in particular dire straits. She had to wait 18 months for a transplant when normally it would take 1/5 that amount of time.
Would you ever donate an organ to somebody you didn't know?
Sure.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah, I thought about it a lot, especially bone marrow.
Yeah.
Because that's like no big whoop. I mean, I'm not...
Right. No, I hear it's really painful.
It's a big whoop.
Yeah.
But it's not as big of a whoop.
You're not losing something that maybe you would need later.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some... I mean, I didn't even read the whole article, but it like came up in my Twitter feed about a young man who held up a sign on the highway, like looking for and he got it.
It worked?
Yeah. It worked. And now they're like best friends.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's real sweet. Somebody was like, I felt probably like how you and I feel.
I did see something on Twitter like that where a daughter was looking for a match for her dad, and I don't know if it worked out.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I could help that guy. And then I was like, oh, wait, my own dad needs one. And we have the same blood type. And I'm
So
just
he's
like we both did it. That's funny. Anyway, changing the subject, but it is actually about health. A lot of us don't get the right foods, and Sarah's definitely not because she's eating nachos for lunch. And
but if you were to ask me what I'm having for dinner,
what are you having?
well, like healthy stuff.
Okay, that's good. I mean, that's all that one meal a day is fine.
I'm supplementing though.
That's right.
Are we going to talk about some ritual vitamins?
Yes, we use Ritual because a lot of us, we try to eat healthy, but, there are gaps in our diet, and the Ritual vitamins are such a great way to fill in those gaps, and you can get that omega-3 or the vitamin D or whatever is missing for you. And the best part for me is that these vitamins are mint scented with an in-bottle tab enriched with pure peppermint oil. So there's not that gross vitamin situation.
I really didn't believe you until I started taking it myself.
Sarah!
You know how when you take fish oil and you burp and you burp up fish oil?
Yeah.
This I take and then I burp mint. And I was like, oh, this is lovely. But what you have not mentioned,
What?
which is my favorite thing, is that it comes with an adorable little calendar with stickers, so you get to mark off, and it's like, hey, it's a 21-day challenge. Like, just try to take vitamins for 21 days
You're
straight.
obsessed with challenges.
Me, I am. Come on. You know what? When
That
you're
is
not on the
so
Real World
funny.
Road Rules Challenge and you feel like I need to have challenges in other parts of my life, so I am taking that challenge. I'm on day 7.
Yeah,
I
it
have
does
not missed
feel
a day.
like that. I'm real proud of you.
It's kind of upset they had a banana sticker on there.
This is a subscription-based service, so there's no gap in your nutrient levels, and it's $30 a month delivered to your door. And buying the omega-3 yourself is the cost of this. So it's like you get everything for just even that one thing. And if you forget a few days, you can snooze it. You can cancel anytime. Happiness guaranteed. No questions asked. Forget everything you thought you knew about vitamins. Ritual is the brand that's reinventing the experience with 9 essential nutrients women lack the most. If you're ready to invest in your health, do what I did and go to ritual.com/braincandy. Your future self will thank you for taking Ritual. Consider it your lifelong health 401k. Why put anything but clean ingredients backed by real science in your body? Go to ritual.com/braincandy.
Yeah.
You're so cute, Sarah.
I love it.
I love
just
you.
love the little sticker. I love you. What? Gosh, so much.
So much. Shall I move on?
I was thinking that. I had a friend come over who's a close friend from childhood. She came over to my house, and I know that she was walking around taking inventory of the photos that I have up. Like, she was looking at the photos. It's basically just me and Susie on my wall. I think I have more pictures of the two of us than I have of me and my own husband.
That's not
and I know
true.
she was probably like,
Do you really believe she was taking inventory?
Yeah, I think so. I think she was looking for a photo of her, where she was.
Does she
on
have
the
one
wall.
of you in her house?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I did have one of her on the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I did because, we're friends.
Everybody has a friend like that in their life where you're friends But you don't often see each other, so there's not a lot of pictures.
Yeah, and recently I haven't seen her in so long, so it's like, I have like ones from when we were little kids, but whatever.
Hey, I earned those fucking
you
spots
have.
on your wall.
You definitely have. And like, it doesn't hurt that we have Adam, who's like a professional photographer following us around. So
for
it's
sure.
like,
That
what do I
helps.
want to put up?
The Adam thing is critical.
It's amazing. Every time he's around, I'm like, oh, it's
Picture
the best. Picture time. You know who else is really good? Our friend Mariana. She will just be like, stop, let me take a picture of you like this.
Oh,
and I'm like, hello, you're the best. She's like, I'm going to boomerang this.
She's big on the boomerang.
Yeah, I loved it. It's like, this is great. The best.
Who wants to hear the history of the escalator?
But where's our music? Da 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 da. It's the history of the escalator.
I do not have
Sooner
my
or
music
later,
board.
It's the escalator.
I wish I had my music board attached today. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I already helped him out with the song.
Yeah, that was better than anything. Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, I remember when we played which came first, the escalator or the elevator. Remember when
it had to be elevator.
And it wasn't. It was like the other one.
Okay.
No, it was elevator. You were right. And then the escalators came out soon after. Tell me everything.
So I believe this was tweeted to me by Laura. I hope I'm crediting the right listener. Because I really appreciate when you guys send me cool
Love
stuff.
it.
And it was really fascinating. And maybe I bet you they said the escalator came first because there was a very early version.
It was something like that.
That was used in the Great Pyramid at Giza.
Oh my! Okay, it was that.
Yeah, but that's kind of like BS because it is not what we use
real
now.
one.
I hate questions like that. Like, I love trivia, but don't give me any of that tricky stuff.
Tricky.
Yeah, and by the way, they do that on those like HQ and stuff.
Ugh, I know.
It makes me real mad. Okay. So the early version was at the Great Pyramid at Giza, which I mean, of course. How else were they going to get crap up?
Yeah,
I'm
still not convinced it wasn't aliens.
Wait a minute. Is this a theory people have?
Well, I don't know. I mean...
Or are you just making that up on the fly?
No, I think people have, like... we don't really know how those rocks were moved.
So that's the mystery for you, and you think aliens are like...
Well, that combined with, like, precision laser cuts to rocks that look too good, that are better than machines do it now.
How did they do it?
I can't figure it out, Suze, so I don't know.
We need to have a scholar of pyramids on. I'm going to get that.
That would be so much fun.
Because I always wanted to know.
Oh, we already had dinosaurs. We need pyramids.
Yeah.
Make this happen.
Okay. Okay. So then the modern version, 1859, by Nathan Ames, he tried to patent it, and he called it revolving stairs.
Cute.
But then he died a year later, so then it got abandoned. But we still see that patent was attempted at least. And then in 1892, somebody tried a new one, and they called it the Endless Conveyor, which made me laugh.
The Endless Conveyor. Well, first of all, we need somebody in the naming department to help these folks out.
Right, but for this, it was used just as an amusement ride. At like friggin', I don't know, Coney Island or something.
Imagine putting an escalator
in
the middle of a field and being like, $5.
I can say, okay, when I was reading the article though, I felt what they felt at the time, especially when I get to my next part of the story when it was actually used in the way that we use it now. They put it in at London's Harrods. Whatever. And
they're like wooden, right? The old ones? I feel like
must have been.
New York has Macy's has one of the oldest, and it's a wooden escalator, and it's real cool.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
It must have been like that.
Yeah, totally. That's so cool.
And they said that people were nervous and just sort of like, what is this? And I thought, yeah, I get it. And there had to be a part of them that was like, we needed to improve stairs.
Right.
I could see them being like, this is stupid.
Ridiculous.
Like, it was fine.
Now, could you imagine if you had to walk floor to floor in Macy's, how mad you'd be?
Right.
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It makes sense that retailers were invested in this technology.
They're real clever with where they place the up and downs.
Why?
Oh, this is totally thought out.
I'm sure.
Of how you have to walk around the other side to go to the down elevator. They don't make it so you can just keep going up.
Yeah.
You have to walk around, look at products to go up to the next floor. Then you walk around products to then go up again.
Right.
It goes up and down are connected. Not up and up, which is what you'd think. Like a staircase. You keep going.
So true.
Mm-hmm, and you'd never notice unless you
we're one of those
aware of the psychology of what you're doing, what they're doing.
Yeah, the psychology of consumerism and shopping.
It's crazy. And once you're aware of it, you can't unsee it, and then you're mad at stores.
I'm grateful. Yeah. Show me everything.
Yeah, you're like, I know why you're doing this. You know.
But at the London's one, they had at the top cognac and also smelling salts. Yeah, because people were so disoriented and disturbed by the experience.
Wow.
They really didn't like it and they needed soothed.
Did this is a dumb question maybe, before Cars?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, before Cars, and they were just
before the Ferris wheel?
I don't know. Huh. I can't say.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point. Because Ferris wheel's friggin' scary.
Scary for me.
It had to be
also,
before.
elevators or escalators at one point in my life were very scary for me. I had to time my step onto
You're like
there.
Elf.
Yeah, totally like that. Why? Also, one time I was at JCPenney, whichever. I saw a little girl's foot get stuck in an escalator. And we had to call 911. The toe of her shoe, because she had teeny tiny little baby feet, got stuck in the escalator. Her foot's all twisted around. She starts screaming. The father starts screaming. I'm 5 feet away from where this is happening. I'm in the belt section, and they're on the escalator right above where my head is. And I pant. I'm like, oh my God, get out my phone, call 911. The other people had started calling 911. They had to have the fire department come out. Thank God this kid, I'd never heard a kid scream like that. She was so scared. I was so scared.
Was she really, really hurt?
No, she was, thank God it didn't get her foot. It just got the toe, and she had little slip-ons.
Why didn't they take her shoe off?
They finally did, but her foot, she wouldn't let go of her foot. She was only 3 or 4, so she wouldn't.
That is terrifying.
She wouldn't and she's screaming, her foot's all twisted. The dad's it was a moment of panic.
You do have to be careful with those things.
So yeah, and that was after I had already recovered from my fear of escalators, so I'm surprised.
Did you ever see the video of the one that the top bit collapsed in?
No, why?
And people fell in.
No, I'm so glad I haven't.
This was 2 years ago, and it's really not funny. I'm just laughing at your reaction. It was a mom and a kid at the top, because it's at the top it's flat.
Yeah,
right before you get off.
The flat part collapsed.
Fell in.
Oh my God!
And they were there.
And that metal is just so... It's something about those teeth look scary.
It's not natural.
Oh, I'm sorry for where this went. I took that in a dark direction. Susie's trying to share the history of something, tell us all these nice stories, and we're talking about people getting mauled.
It is funny, though. I mean, because they were giving cognac and smelling salts out at the top because people were so disoriented, and then you think of what people do on them now, and half the time people are tomfoolery on there.
Totally. I used to put my shoe, how there's a little brushy looking thing on the side, and I used to be shoe shine.
Oh my God.
Put my foot out there. That's how that kid got her
shoe shine.
Yeah. Or sit on the handle, the handrail, because that moves at the same time with the stairs, and then try to keep your feet up. So that's how you end up falling.
No wonder you had a fear though. How did you go from fear to daredevil?
No, I was probably a daredevil when I was younger, and then you realize how many ways you could die in accidents, and you're I gotta stop doing that shit. Now I'm scared.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I know one thing.
What?
I'm sleeping like a baby.
Yeah, are you? Tell me. What are you sleeping
I have
on?
great sheets. Mm-hmm. Brooklinen. You people keep sending me pictures of your freaking adorable
so cute.
pets.
So cute. Cats and sheets.
And dogs. It's
adorable.
So cute. I love it. Brooklinen is really, really wonderful company made by a couple who were like, yeah, we want some nice sheets, but we don't want to remortgage our house to get them. And they're the most beautiful, comfortable home essentials. And you spend so much time in bed, whether you realize it or not.
1/3 of your life.
Yeah.
Come on.
And so you want really nice stuff, but you don't want crazy prices and markups and fees. Most bedding is marked up 300%.
When you tell, I can't believe that. It makes me sick that I've one time spent that money on sheets.
And they wanted to solve that problem. This is luxury bedding that's underpriced. You have to try them. They're basically the softest sheets I've ever had.
Best housekeeping.
Yeah.
Good housekeeping?
Best of online bedding, category by Good Housekeeping.
Yeah,
they're the most comfortable sheets I've slept on. Brooklinen has an exclusive offer for our listeners. Get $20 off and free shipping when you use promo code BRAIN at brooklinen.com. Brooklinen is so confident they offer a risk-free 60-night satisfaction guarantee and a lifetime warranty on all your sheets and comforters. The only way to get $20 off and free shipping is to use promo code BRAIN at brooklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Promo code BRAIN. They're the best sheets ever.
Ooh, get it.
Shut.
Oh,
there's Sarah's nachos.
My nachos are here, people. Press pause.
That's fine. That's fine. Go. How are your nachos?
Oh my gosh. So good.
Were they delish?
Yes. And you know what? Remember how we were talking about how vegan cheese isn't good? I think I may have just had vegan cheese.
No way.
Wasn't that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed.
Me neither.
What do you think it's made of? Cashews?
That cashew cheese. It's good.
It was good.
Yum. Anywho.
Any hoodles.
Where
What should we talk about?
So a while back, people found out that I was in a sex therapy class right now, and they were all asking me, "Oh my God, you have to talk to us about weird paraphilias and stuff like that."
What are you saying?
Paraphilias are all those like objectophilia or fetishes, like people who have alternate sexual feelings towards either an inanimate object or like something else, you know? And I don't know what category this falls into, but on my computer, in my, on Vice News, whatever, just popped up in their feed, this place in Denver that is now nicknamed the Cat Chateau, where people who are into what they call kitten play go to live. And a lot of people were commenting on how this is kind of like isn't this kind of like, like what Hugh Hefner was doing with Playboy bunnies, like they're basically people who like dressing up as kittens, and they're part of this BDSM community called kitten play, where the kittens are like submissive, and then they have the owners who come to the house who are called gents.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and they live there, and the kittens live there. But the people who run it are saying, no, this is totally great and healthy because it's like by women, for women, and are all about like marketing.
How is it for women?
Because it's not like I think it's like they're the creators of this fantasy rather than adding women into a man's fantasy, like the Playboy bunny kind of were.
Yeah.
But they're really, apparently it's really popular, and it's called the Cat Chateau, and it's like sold out, and people come and stay there. And these women are gorgeous. The women who were dressed, I was like, they're not what you'd
Are they not allowed to talk?
Oh, good question. No, I think they it probably would depend on what kind of like cat they are.
It's like the Catwoman on Batman.
Oh, she's so sexy, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Well, I was referring to the one on the TV show from the 60s.
Eartha Kitt.
I mean,
and she had that little like
kind of
the
purr.
Yeah, and she would like hiss.
Do you think that's what they do?
I think so, but they're like really into.
And are a lot of people into cat play?
Apparently, this place is like. What I thought was funniest was that their website is a .org.
I don't know.
It's
Kittenplay.org?
I think it's catchateau.org.
Come on.
Yeah.
So it's a non-prof?
That was my question. I was like, how do you get a .org? They didn't say that in the article.
That's really strange.
Yeah. But that was an interesting one. So if you like dressing up as a kitten, there's a place for you.
So, I'm sorry, but like the women that do this, they are employees of...
I think they choose to live there. It's like one of those, they probably have another job, like then this is where they live. And maybe they pay to live there.
And then what?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm just saying this is a place. It's like the Playboy, like,
okay.
You know, how they have like bunnies
more of like
that
a brothel.
Like, I think it's not necessarily a brothel because they're not like selling this sex. It's not like you can go in and you can buy time. It's like both of them. It's like a BDSM, like any of those other like
it's
sex
like
clubs.
A club.
Or it's a club. That's the best way to put it. It's a club. It's like a BDSM club with a kitten theme.
Wow.
And apparently it's like
there
all
really
the rage.
is a lid for every pot.
Every single one. Because then it started I was like, I wonder what other ones are out there. So I just Googled types of paraphilias. The list of A's is a page long. Things that start with A.
Way.
There were weird ones.
We've talked about this before where Sarah claims that... no, nothing bad.
Yeah, okay. I'm like,
just
what do I claim?
that there is no such thing as a fetish, really. That everything is acceptable.
Well, because if you say, I would like to have I want it to be normal. Okay, then tell me what normal is.
I think everybody could answer that though the same. They know what everyone considers to be.
But that's like calling vanilla ice cream normal.
Yes.
And then mint chip and
Correct.
chocolate and all this other.
That
so
is
like
accurate.
so vanilla's like the base.
Correct.
So like missionary and regular is like the base.
Yes.
That is the vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we all know what normal
Yeah, but nobody's
means.
just had vanilla ice cream their whole life.
No.
So is
but
it that
doesn't
normal?
mean they liked Rocky Road.
Right.
That just means they tried it. But we're talking about people that love Rocky Road.
Yeah. But don't like vanilla.
Or like Rocky Road with cat hair on top. You know, like, because Rocky Road's great.
Right.
But we were in the previous discussion including real fringe stuff.
Yeah.
Not anything criminal, but like
Right.
things that like when you fall in love with your car or when you want to bang the Statue of Liberty. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Trees.
That is
cats.
absolutely not normal. I cannot call it that, even though you want me to.
I know. It's more like, we just have to widen the definite.
That actually leads me to another topic, which is tangentially related, but I think you'll understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. I read this article. Let me scooch back because I think it was on a previous page of my notes. And it was I think a New York Times op-ed.
I need to get you a new notebook.
I have this weird, my fetish is like finishing things.
Right.
So like
I'm the opposite.
Super excited because I'm almost done. So don't replace it because I want to finish.
Right.
This
but then,
notepad.
you know, you
But I have the one from Zach Galifianakis. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, great. I won't get you a new one then.
Okay, let me find it. Okay. Well, anyway, there was this person that wrote an op-ed, and I think it was in the New York Times, and it was about the personal essays that a person writes when they want to get into college. Okay, here it is. And how the actual title was something to the effect of the soul-crushing student essay.
Oh, I get that.
I was surprised because you know how like stereotypically we think of millennials as being people who all want a trophy for doing nothing. Like that's the negative thing. Oh, anyway, sorry. I got a text that just caught my attention. That was so unprofessional of me just now. Okay, anyway. But so I was thinking that was going to be the complaint of the person that has to read these essays. But it turned out that millennials and Generation Z, like the younger thans, are very bad about knowing what makes them special.
Yeah.
And
I think it's an identity crisis. It's like a thing that has to do with an identity.
But it's a generational thing, and I thought, why would that be the case?
Why is that the case?
So let's reverse it. In the 80s, let's say you were transgender.
Okay.
You felt very alone. And then only after the internet, and when you could just put it in, you realize I am not alone. There are tons of people that feel like me.
I'm not that, yeah.
That was a relief to them.
Yes.
But if you grew up only knowing that you can Google and find other people like you, you think nothing about you is special.
Nothing special.
And so they tend to write in what I told you write in, which is passive voice.
I do. And you know what? I've changed that since then.
Yeah.
I've been very aware of that since you showed me that.
Yeah. Like the way that they structure sentences is as if something happened to them rather than
they did something.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? I did it for a long time until I realized, like, oh no, you have to take an active voice in this. Huh.
But it comes back to what you were talking about the fetish thing. Like nothing is unusual because everything's fine.
Fine, so then nothing's...
Yeah. What do you think about that? I'll get you your wine, by the way. I noticed you're out.
Oh, let me think. You know, that's a really interesting one. Because then it makes you... You even see it with... I think the people who in the past... And I even felt a little bit of this. Because I went to one high school where being a weirdo was weird.
Okay.
Then I went to another high school where being a weirdo was cool.
Yeah, right.
And it felt like and I see that whole, I put that in there tight. Get it, sis.
That's what he said.
I feel like maybe the school I went to where being a weirdo was cool was a school that was a little bit ahead of its time, because now that's how it is in school. Where like in some schools, not all, but where like the gay kid or the transgender kid or like the cool popular
prom queen,
yes. You know, they vote the transgender, you know, guy as prom king, and it's all wonderful, and you know, we're making political statements and it's great, but I did not find that in the other high school I went to. So maybe it's just like that different time where those things become like and then you think, if you are what used to be considered quote unquote normal, you almost feel like the other now.
Right.
And that could be that whole pushback from that, like,
that's what I'm saying.
That middle America.
By the way, cheers.
Oh, cheers. I love that noise.
I saw, by the way, the other night you were like cooking HelloFresh and like drinking wine, like super fancy wine. And,
I was.
Living the dream.
It was great.
What is with you becoming like Miss Cook over there?
Well, one night I had Landon do it and it was so good. And then we switched, and then the next night I cooked, and he was all jealous because my HelloFresh recipe, I only had to cut one thing. I had to cut potatoes into like 1/2-inch cubes, and that was it.
Yeah.
And he had to cut
His
3 vegetables. He required...
He was mad about prep.
2 extra steps of prep. So he was like, well, I mean...
He wanted more credit.
Yeah, he did. But they both taste amazing. Our family cannot get over how much we love HelloFresh.
Yeah.
We're like, this is... And we're spending so much money, so much less money on groceries.
I am too.
I am saving
I am too.
so much money. And you know how that feeling when your fridge only has what you actually are going to eat, and you know where everything's going to go, and you feel like I'm not wasting? I just feel like, yes, I love it. I'm so pumped.
Well, and they have so many options now. Like Sarah didn't know this. She was taking the default options.
Totally. I was like, this is great. They're giving me these meals. I don't even know what they are, but they're so good.
Yeah, but you can go on there and you can pick like what kind your family you think would like. So they have a lot of selection. And I feel like it's gotten our whole family excited about cooking. Lincoln's helping me, which I think is really fun. And we live now in a house that's kind of far away from stuff. So... Yeah. Instead of going out to eat, we're more inclined to, let's just stay in and have the same quality, but we don't have to. Because Sarah and I both, off the air, were like, it's restaurant quality.
It's so good.
And it's just, you spend less of your time planning and grocery shopping, and I love that because time is of the essence. And you can get $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Visit HelloFresh.com/BrainCandy30 and enter promo code BrainCandy30. That's $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Visit HelloFresh.com/BrainCandy30 and enter promo code BrainCandy30. And you'll experience the same benefits. I saw that they partnered with, like, they do all these cool, like,
the wine
partnerships. Yeah.
And it tells me which wine this pairs with at the bottom of my thing. I was like, okay, well, we're drinking that. Right. A Pinot Noir? Okay.
It's really cool. Just try it.
Yeah,
let us know what you think.
I love our sponsors. I mean, they're just
We are lucky gals.
I know. I'm just like going through my mind. I'm like, I would.
I know.
We can't get over HelloFresh. I can't stop talking about it. Anyways, what are we?
Like off the air, she won't shut up about it. So at least in this case, it's for your benefit.
And then when I go like, hey, honey, will you just throw together that HelloFresh? It sounds like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Instead of me saying,
which is true.
Can you make
really
dinner
easy.
for tonight?
Yeah.
It sounds like much.
That's so true.
You know?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I could do a Hello. That's
no
easy.
big whoop.
No big whoop. So now I come home to dinner. Wow. Okay, moving on.
But I thought that was really interesting about the millennial thing because like I said, the stereotype that they're just self-centered, they think they're so great. It turns out like they realize now that the world is a rainbow and everybody's different. So they're like, if everybody's different, nobody's different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I totally do. There's got to be unintended consequences. They're like not consequences,
it's like a
but
pendulum.
there's got to be like something that happens as a result of that.
That brings me to my next topic. Sorry to keep the ball rolling here.
I love it.
Which was about there was this. Okay, you know that guy? I think his name is Ryan Murphy. He makes those films like the Gianni Versace and then the feud one about the two actresses that hated each other.
Oh, I wanted to see that.
Yeah, like he does a lot of those things.
What's the name of the
Glee. Ryan Murphy.
I have to write this down because I like that style and I like his.
And he, by the way, does not want you to call it camp. He wants you to call it Baroque because, like Baroque, you know, the time period.
Yeah.
Not Baroque.
Right, Baroque. Yeah.
Because he says camp denotes like something bad, cheap, and
like what do you mean? The style of
he's a gay guy,
yeah,
and he makes these shows that tend to appeal to gay people. So he sometimes gets labeled as camp style, like Waters, the Waters director.
I don't know.
Made Crybaby. I think.
Yeah. I see. What
and
you
he's
mean.
like that's derogatory. I want to be known as Baroque, which is like big and grand,
fabulous,
and
over the top and opulent. And you know what? The Gianni Versace story definitely like that.
Yeah,
opulent, over the top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he was also in the process of creating a revival of a play that ran on Broadway in, I believe, the 60s called Boys in the Band. And Boys in the Band was about gay culture.
Cool.
And it's in the 60s, counterculture.
And hidden.
Exactly. And so there was an article in the New York Times about how now that, and this is just more than it was, it's relative, gay culture is accepted and mainstream. And so like the backside of that, as you said about the other thing, is like there is no such thing as this gay identity in the same way. They don't have these coming out stories. Right. It's like,
I remember when I first moved to San Francisco and I got a rundown of the colors of bandanas that you wear in your back pocket that symbolized different things.
Yes.
That meant that you were in part of a different group. Like what you would wear, the color of bandana in a certain side of your pocket that symbolized whether you were into certain types of sex or like interested in certain partners, like you were interested in bears or, you know, you were a lesbian who preferred strap-ons or whatever. They were like all whatever you wanted. There was a bandana for it. And
what was your bandana?
I remember that I dated a girl who always wore a black bandana in her pocket, and I don't remember what that means. I think it's a strap-on. So
I cannot wait to look it up.
Yeah, but I know that a black bandana, or maybe it was navy blue, but like a dark color bandana.
Wait, we need to know which color.
I think it was black, but we have to look that up.
You didn't have a bandana?
But she was also really into gay culture, like the male gay culture. Like she was almost more into that culture than she was into like a lesbian culture. Or like, and I think she was a very androgynous female. So,
well, this article was almost lamenting the death of gay culture in that way, and that the upside is that there's a lot less, strife. Yeah. But the downside is that when you're included in society in a way that you weren't before, those little things that you share only with each other,
like inside joke almost, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's a little club.
That is really what's happened almost for every.
That's what I'm saying.
Big, you know, like I almost think this is not a culture that I'm at all a part of, but like country. I think about like, you know, people who are really into country.
What about them?
And how like it used to be, I feel like pop and country have kind of there's like this middle ground where, you know, somebody like me can go to a line
Taylor
dancing
Swift
place.
used
Yeah,
to
or
be-
like
yeah.
whatever, you know? And there used to be a scene, like a country scene, where I would feel very out of place if I went to a line dancing hall.
Gotcha.
Now I think I can go to a line dancing place and maybe would be okay,
Well,
but
this
might not
makes
know
me-
the moves.
This
you know?
makes me wonder, though, because I read last year around the time of Pride, which this episode is actually coming out right around when Pride starts to kick up. Somebody was talking about how straight people need to not go to Pride and that we're co-opting their safe space and their sort of like private place. And I thought, I freaking love Pride.
Yeah. And also, as somebody who was the Grand Marshal of...
Sarah, you are amongst the queer, though.
I know. Okay, yes.
You don't have to get defensive.
Well,
You're
no,
allowed.
but I am defensive because, like, because I want to make a point and say, like, I was the Grand Marshal of the Long Beach Pride Parade in 2015 or 15, and they told me when I was because they gave me a little microphone and I was driving the car and waving to people and everything and like talking to the crowd, and they said, we would like you to not call it Gay Pride. We just want to call it Pride. Oh, because this is just Pride, and it's not
Who
about
you
putting
are.
people
Whoever
in
you
boxes.
are.
It is
Oh,
who you
okay.
are, and we're just going to celebrate it as Pride and in the city and in Long Beach, and it's great. And maybe that was just their opinion, but I was fine. I was like all about that. I was like fine
contact
with
them
that.
and ask if we can be Grand Marshal again?
I can say, can we at least get like some, good seats to wave to the other people who are Grand Marshals?
I read that tweet and I thought, I want to consider this. I want to consider if that's a fair thing. Like, am I stealing something from people and I'm taking all the good without experiencing the struggle? Like Rachel Dolezal. Am I doing that? I remember when I went to Pride, I wore, you could get a sticker when you got in. Like anything like Butch or fan, whatever it was.
Love it.
And I think mine said Butch. And I had that when I got the curls going on, big fro, like Dolly Parton style. And somebody actually said to me,
"You're not. Don't wear that sticker."
Yeah, she was mad, and I thought I was being ironic,
right?
Because clearly I'm
Obviously.
the least Butch person.
Yeah, but if I were in the market for a girlfriend, I wouldn't want you to wear that sticker either.
What should I wear though?
Because then I would also be like, you're like, I'm interested in butch women and you're not that, but you are what I feel like I want to be for butch women. So like, stop stealing my femme space and stop stealing my butch. Like,
okay, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
When she said that, I wasn't offended. I just thought, oh, geez,
you don't even
offending someone I don't even
know.
mean to.
Yeah, you don't even realize. But like,
but I mean,
I
hope the gay folks that
way.
listen, which I know are a plenty because of you. I would like them to tell me in the Brain Candy Crush Facebook group, especially. I'm sure they'll weigh in. Let me know if you think like gay pride should just be for the gay community, LGBTQI, whatever all the letters are.
IA.
Or what's A?
And asexual.
Okay, yeah, for those folks. Or do you think it should be pride in general? Anybody, allies are welcome. I don't know.
Or some people say A stands for allies. So there you go.
Well, I am
but
for sure.
I am all about it opening. I mean, but I can just speak for myself, and I would definitely say that I'm a member of the queer community.
You are super queer.
Yeah. You should have seen me in class when we were talking about like LGBT and queer issues and things like that, and people in the class had questions, and I was like dying for somebody to like call on me so I could be like, well. Actually, yeah, right? Because a lot of people, I think, in my school assume because I'm married that I am heterosexual and that's that. But it just so happens that the person that I fell in love with and married is a man.
All right,
it does
Sarah,
not.
You don't have to keep telling us.
I know. But I just want people in my class to know.
No matter.
I did say that. I was like, I'm queer as hell over here, so feel free to ask me any follow-up questions after class.
I want to introduce our guest in a second, but she's a doctor. She's fancy pants. And before I do that, I want to talk about something I went to the doctor for many, many times, had every medicine known to man. Nothing worked. Was for my acne. I have problem skin. It's been so annoying my whole life. You guys know what I love. It's the 3-step routine of BioClarity because it cleared out my skin and doesn't have that yucky, toxic stuff that makes your skin irritated. It's natural and soothing, and it has been such a blessing to me, #blessed, because, you know, it can be really embarrassing. So I want you guys to try it. They have the essentials routine for people like me who need, you know, a little help. And then they have the clear skin routine for people that I hate that have beautiful skin to begin with and want to glow a little more. But to get started on the healthy habit of your skincare, go to bioclarity.com. Our listeners get their first month for 50% off a routine, plus shipping is free, and it comes with a 100% risk-free money-back guarantee. But you need to enter our code BRAINCANDY. That's bioclarity.com, and enter our code BRAINCANDY. You'll love it. It's a 3-step program. Just get in the routine. All right. I want to introduce our guest.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Wrote the wonderful book called Hype. She is a fancy doctor, and she breaks it down in her book about what you should be nervous about, what you shouldn't be nervous about. She is no nonsense, and I think that she points out a lot of kind of like what society falls for the clickbait headline.
Yeah, totally.
It's not really your
for
fault.
Everything. No.
You know, the news is 24 hours. They need crap to like get you worked up about. But Hype is a doctor's guide to medical myths, exaggerated claims, and bad advice, how to tell what's real and what's not. Sarah's into
I'm
it.
so into this.
Her name is Nina Shapiro. She is a MD, and it's a really great, easy read. You'll love it, and enjoy the interview with her. Welcome, Nina. All right, let's talk Hype. First of all, Doc, congratulations on your book. How you feeling?
Thank you. It's been great. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to write. I hope it's a lot of fun to read, and it's a lot of fun to talk about it.
I was wondering, because I always think, you know, you toil with writing a book for so long, and then it comes out. I wonder if you get sick of it.
You know, not really, because there's so much to it, and it's I'm finding now that it's out and it's been out for a few weeks, it kind of has a life of its own because there's so many little angles to go with it. So it's actually a lot of fun. It's a little different from the writing process.
Well, I really love the book. I can't wait to hear what our listeners think, because for me, it's like this is essential reading now because you really did all the work for us.
Thank you.
Because
You're
we
welcome.
get confused. And so what was your agenda when you were like, I'm going to try to parse out what's important and what's not? Like, how did you manage to whittle it down to what you thought needed to be covered?
So, you know, a lot of it is just what I hear on a daily basis, you know, at my work as a doctor, but also just as a mom and a person and out in the world, what people are, you know, what's the big stuff what do people talk about? They talk about their diet. They talk about supplements. They talk about looking and feeling better and, you know, the latest and greatest. And then, you know, as far as the bad stuff, they talk about cancer and how to prevent it and treat it. And so, you know, I just tried to cover the really biggies. And what I find is that the stuff that really matters is the stuff that's not necessarily in the headlines that keeps us healthy, but it's not necessarily so exciting, but it's actually pretty important.
And you're so right. Like in the book, when you talk about how the same people that will, you know, hand wring over organic food will text and drive, and how there's this weird cognitive dissonance for us as humans where we don't think that's as risky as eating like lettuce that wasn't raised on some special farm. What's
right.
with
Although
that?
It's this kind of funny notion that people like to, you know, and it's human nature and it's fine, but people take into control, you know, what they think is, you know, new and, you know, even a little bit trendy, and this is the newest health thing to do, and then you know, all of the basic stuff just literally gets thrown out the window.
Yeah. Well, and like to the regular person who's not an MD, it does sometimes feel overwhelming where one day they'll say salt is terrible and the next day they'll say it's great, have all the salt you want. And so do you think people just feel a little confused?
Oh, yeah. And, there is, some of the flip-flopping is just purely marketing. And then some of the flip-flopping is, frankly, it's doctors and research. If we do something and find one piece of, for instance, one of the biggies was coconut oil not too long ago was considered, great for your heart health. And the American Heart Association was recommending, that we, chug coconut oil by the gallon. And then, so people were doing that. And then, oh, no, wait a second. We mean don't.
Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah, gotcha. So, it's people get very angry, rightly so. Like, well, that's not fair. You told us to do this, and now you're telling us not. And that we get new pieces of information. Doctors used to tell people to smoke cigarettes. So,
can you believe?
Not too long ago.
Right. We're still learning, and it is a journey. But that's why your book is so great, because you kind of make sense of it and are saying, use your head. And also, it's not one size fits all, where everything makes the same sense for every single person, right?
Right. Exactly.
And in the end of the book, you talked about how you really wanted to advocate for the idea of power of individual choice. And I wondered if you could expand on what that means to you.
So what that means is that, there are a lot of guidelines that we have, whether it's for doing, certain testing or having a certain diet and, living your life a certain way. And while we do have guidelines for a reason, not every body is the same. And, certainly when it comes to things like exercise, diet, even sleep habits, everybody's going to have a little different response and require a little bit, of tweaking, for what works for them. There's certain things that are absolute for everybody. Everybody needs vaccines, except if they have a severe medical indication where they can't tolerate vaccines. So that's sort of a one-size-fits-everybody. But for other things, it's a little bit, there's a little subtlety to it as far as, for instance, if you're going to undergo a testing procedure, well, are you high risk for having anesthesia where you shouldn't be having that testing because the risk of the test is bigger than the results. So, for that, you can't just, we're not automatons and just, show up and do whatever, we're told. We have to really think things through and think of the implications of the choices.
What has it been like for you on your side of the medical conversation when you're hearing from patients that they don't want vaccines or they have fears about it?
So, it's interesting, and a lot of doctors have looked at, how can we work with patients who are reluctant, to sort of move forward and understand it. And, certainly one of the worst things we can do is to berate somebody. And, we're telling, you're an idiot. How could you not do that? Of course, you're stupid. And that is completely useless. Right. Tempting, but useless. So it is really a discussion, and I think it is, you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper and see what the origin of the concerns are. Sometimes it's a little bit surprising. It's, we sort of have the tendency to think that, they're just concerned because they're worried that vaccines are associated with autism. Yeah. But sometimes there's more to it than that. And then if you can just explain the science, for instance, patients are, concerned that, if I give my child too many vaccines, it's going to make their asthma worse, or it's going to make, their medical issues worse, when in the cases is actually going to make it better. So sometimes when you just say that simple thing, actually it's going to help your child and prevent them from having asthma attacks, then, I wish somebody would have told me that. I'll do that then. So, I think it has to be a conversation, because we can't mandate this in that way. It's not productive. You'll lose patients that way. They'll just go somewhere else and find somebody who they feel comfortable talking to. And, what we find is that patients, if they're, it's become a little bit of an us and them when it comes to vaccines, they'll either find someone who doesn't think they need vaccines, or they'll lie.
Right. And it's the irony, it seems to me, is that oftentimes I think people think you're just trying to exploit it to make tons of money. And in the book you talk about listen, this is not our bread and butter here. We're not making tons of dough on saving your life. Indeed, if people were to get sick from not getting vaccines, that sounds pretty lucrative for them.
It's a moneymaker.
Right.
Huge.
So I don't get the logic there.
It's not. And also people think that, there's a concept that doctors want to just make money, which is why we don't want to use homeopathy or holistic therapy. And those are big money makers too. Insurance doesn't cover that. So, and vaccines are, pretty much a wash when it comes to, it costs money to buy the vaccines. It costs money to administer them. It's not a big markup. So it's, it is a pure medical treatment. What a concept.
And then in the book, you talk about how doctors have, kind of these superstitions as well, which I found really entertaining. How, like, you guys talk about how when there's a nice family that comes in, you're like, well, they're doomed. That is totally great. And I had no idea you guys talked like that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we're really careful and we're nice, but it's sort of, and a lot of these are a little bit more old school. It's just, bad prognostic sign, family's nice, and, vice versa. Patient is really mean and cantankerous, and the family's really, difficult family. Oh, they're going to live to 1,000. So, obviously that's pure superstition and, hocus pocus, but it's
like
one
that.
of those things. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's kind of funny. And, I talk about in the book, these studies looking at, whether it is really bad luck to have surgery on Friday the 13th.
For real.
No, it's not. It's
I
not
love
bad
this
luck.
so much. I do. But people probably do, and you're saying physicians sometimes feel that way too.
Oh, yeah. We all have our little, we'll call it routine or we'll call it our little,
Ritual,
idiosyncrasies, but a lot of it's just based on pure superstition.
So,
fine.
Well, that's what's fun about your book is it's very informative, but it's also entertaining because you kind of find out like what goes on behind the scenes and what you guys have to deal with. Because most of us just go in as regular patients. We don't know what the heck you're doing. And a lot of what you talk about are trends that come out because there'll be like a tidbit in a study that's kind of sexy in terms of like clickbait or something that they can put on the local news or whatever. And then that becomes what people think is, the final word. Is that accurate?
Yes. So, you can take the beginning of one sentence and have, 30 sentences in between and then the end of the last sentence and just take those two, cut and paste and you'll have a really exciting headline,
right,
but miss the entire body of the substance, which is really, and again, that's one of the reasons I call the book hype. It's not that the things are wrong or lies or fake. It's just that it's a huge exaggeration and a huge step from, the reality just gets lost because you want to see, the blueberries prevent cancer. And, if you eat like, 4,000 pounds of blueberries and put them in a petri dish, some cancer cells may die, but that doesn't mean blueberries kill cancer. But that, makes for pretty exciting headlines.
Right. And that they have to make content, and I get it, but then that's part of why people get confused. Okay. So you talk about the internet and the ways in which it has been helpful in informing people, but can also be a tool for misinformation, of course. So what is your advice for the best use of the internet at our fingertips?
So we all use the internet, and even doctors. Sometimes we say, "Excuse me, I'll be right back," and sometimes we're googling your problem. And the thing about it is, there's so much information, but we don't even realize the bias that goes on in a search, and some of the bias is on the searcher. So, for instance, if you're worried about a certain problem, you will put in words that will lead you very quickly that you have that problem or your family member has that problem, as opposed to, or, vice versa. If you think that something is really good, you will bias yourself to find and convince yourself that something is really good. So, something to just keep in mind when you're doing a search about a problem is, people always say, can you Google your symptoms and figure out your diagnosis? No, but you can Google usually I say 1-2 words max to start and just find out about what's going on. And that should lead you to, I need to call my doctor right now. I need to go back to sleep, or I need to call my doctor in 3 weeks, or I need to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
but it's not to diagnose and treat anything. And then when you look at a search, Google's primarily, the main search engine that people use, page one of Google is mostly ads of any search, unless it's a really, really boring topic. And then it may be some actual information. But for the most part, Google's going to be ads on the first page. And it's not that the ads are wrong, but there's bias in that. And you have to understand that somebody's paying for you to read that.
When you have had people come into your office, what is the craziest ass thing you've ever heard somebody say? Like a question that somebody asked.
Oh, my God. What's this show rated?
You can say whatever you want.
A lot of it just, I take care of kids for the most part,
right.
So a lot of it is related to things that, but sometimes they'll ask me questions about themselves, and a lot of it has to do with, foods that cause certain problems, and, or acupuncture that it's almost like a surgical cure. Probably like a funny thing that someone asked once is, kids can get these little pits when they're born. It almost looks like a little dimple on like near their ear, and it's completely nothing to worry about. But someone when asked me, she thought it was from the amnio needle that poked her baby's ear.
Oh my God! Hey, maybe it is. What do we know?
She's ready to sue her OB because she thought the OB poked the baby's ear.
Stop.
So it's kind of funny.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
No.
That's why we need you, because we're like, what the heck do we know? It could have been. We don't know.
Sure,
So
that'd be really good aim on like a baby the size of a peanut. But okay.
You talk also in the book about DNA tests, which have become, a huge thing, especially recently with that dang Golden State Killer and everything. But, and it is kind of timely that you brought it up in your book. What made you decide to include that?
So, DNA testing is, even though it seems like, you can just get it online and get the whole information, it's really in its infancy. So we're getting a little too much information, and we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So I think just a couple things, basic stuff people have to understand, that if you get one of those DNA tests online and you send it in, it is not private. Your information becomes public. And we still don't quite know where that information is going. We know it's going to some larger databases, which is good, because eventually the goal is that we'll figure out, genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's and other chronic illnesses and cancers. But, is your insurance company getting this information? Are you going to start getting ads for certain issues because of your genetic makeup? So a lot of it is still a little bit unknown, and, what's going on with this information. And then the other thing is that if you get a genetic test, we like to sort of have a counselor involved with that, a genetic specialist, explain the implications, because people often think, I carry the gene for this cancer, that means I'm going to get this cancer, or I don't carry the gene, so I'm not going to get this cancer. And it's either terrifying or it puts people almost at too much of ease, that they don't realize, that, no, you still can get this cancer. So the concern that I have about genetic testing is that it doesn't come with counseling. And, when we check a kid for hearing loss, which is a really, very mild problem, we still have a genetic counselor involved. And that's not even like what we would consider a disease or an illness.
Right. And people wouldn't have that or don't have that whenever they get their results from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So obviously the book is filled with info on like what we should worry about and what we shouldn't. How do you sum it up on what is stuff we should worry about and put some time into for ourselves?
So I think, one of my favorite chapters is a chapter about risk. And, we just lose sight of, we lose perspective of what we're at risk for and what people worry about and what people are concerned about. And I think that, our heads are spinning, and we kind of lost our common sense about how to stay healthy, how to live longer, how to live healthier. And so a lot of it is really basic stuff that, again, is not necessarily going to be a headline about, how to make sure you wear your seatbelt and don't text and drive and get some exercise, but it doesn't have to be crazy, extreme exercise. And people are so sort of wrapped up in all these, the newest diet and the newest supplement and the newest type of exercise that, every so often I stop with, did I miss that day in medical school? Like we didn't learn all this stuff. Where have I been? And it's almost like I'm living in a vacuum, but I'm not. It's just that there's so much new, and it's making everybody crazy because, wait, I'm supposed to do this. No, I'm supposed to do that. Sit up, stand out, do a standing desk. No, get a sitting desk. No, don't sit, don't stand. So like, wait a second, just like be active and relax.
Calm down. Right.
Yes.
There's one question that we ask everybody, which is, what do you keep in the trunk of your car?
Oh, that's a great question. I always keep a bunch of books.
That's great. Your own or other people's?
Both.
That's a good answer.
I always have books in the car. I always have some of my own, and I've written a few books in case, I ever meet someone and they need a copy of the book. So you always got to have your books with you. I always have scrubs, and I always have my operating room outfit. And I should have water because I live in earthquake country.
Oh my God, right?
And they always say to have water with you. But I have scrubs in case I ever need to get to the OR. And I'm out.
Wow. That's a good answer, because we like to think that whatever's in your trunk is sort of like where you are in your life. It represents where you are at the moment. So your
books and surgery.
Yeah, books and scrubs. That sounds about right. Well, I congratulate you on the book, and I'm so glad that I read it, and I hope a lot of other people do too, because it's so informative, but it's great for people like me who don't have the background in medicine, and it's easy and fun to read too. So I just hope everyone reads it, and it's a huge success.
I do too. Thank you. Yeah.
You're
I
off
hope
the
it's
hook.
a fun read.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the Brain Candy Podcast. We're honored.
This was fun. Yeah, great.
Thank you so much.
Cute. All right. Thanks again.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Babes and Babies, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.